Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Animac from Anime Uproar, and welcome to a new episode of the One Piece Virgin podcast. In this one, we're covering chapters 956 to 974, and so much happened in these chapters that I don't even know where to start. Like, we'll start at the beginning, but there's so much to talk about. It was insane. Possibly the best chunk of chapters yet, man. It was so good.
You love to see it.
Yeah, Nux and Briggs are here, guys. Nux and Briggs. Yeah, man, this is crazy because...
Dude, I love hearing you say that, man. So much of the One Piece community is like, oh, well, One Piece got so much worse ever since the time skip. But
dude,
this
it happens,
chunk of chapters is fire.
It literally happens in every single arc because people binged One Piece and then they caught up and then they're like, oh, Dressrosa was slow. But then when you reread Dressrosa, it's fire. It's the same thing with Whole Cake, and it's going to be the same thing with Wano. I'm enjoying it thus far, and that's why I love binging chapters and rereading and rewatching. Because, like,
you
Oda...
didn't read 999, bro.
I haven't done that yet.
Read 999.
But the beauty of that is now, since we started from 956 to 974 here for Animac, the next episode is going to be us catching up to the podcast, to One Piece, up to chapter 999.
Up to 1,000.
Up to 1,000, but I think 1,000 won't be out, so we're going to do a special episode for 1,000. It's going to be fire. But it's cool. I'm going to be literally reading along with the One Piece version at this point. And I must say, part of the reason why I tend to fall behind 4 or 5 chapters is because Oda does not rush. He takes his time, and people complained about the backstory that happened in this arc that we're going to talk about today, and it's just like it's such a fire backstory. What? But people just
yeah, dude. About Odin's backstory?
Because what ends up happening is the backstory probably lasts like 6 months to 8 months for us reading it real time, and people just want the actual Wano content. But that backstory is so good. Anyway,
bro,
Virgin, just take it away,
those people are completely clueless. Like, what are you talking about? That backstory is like possibly the sickest part of One Piece yet.
Hold on.
It was so good, man.
Animac, can I please tell you something that will blow your mind?
Yes.
So much of the One Piece community hates the Odin flashback.
What? Everything comes together.
This is what I've been saying for months now.
Everything comes together so perfectly, like, and you get so much information about the stuff that interests me the most, the Void Century. Like, who is saying this?
Like, not only do you get to see how much of a Chad Odin is, you get to meet, I mean, I don't want to get into it before we get into it, but you get to meet characters that we wanted to see, and the amount of information that was revealed was crazy. Like, I really don't get it.
We get to see Roger and Whitebeard actually clash.
Dude.
Like, are you kidding me?
All right. Can I just say something that makes me very happy? The fact that I hyped Odin, and you thought I overhyped Odin, and you read the chapters, and you were like, bruh, you didn't overhype Odin. Let's freaking go.
Dude, I literally titled this stream. I titled the stream, Odin is a Chad. I know a lot of thought went into that. You're welcome.
Odin was born to be a Chad, bro.
Dude, he's probably the biggest Chad in anime. At least top 3.
Yo, he's awesome. And yes, Nux, you often overhype shit, but with JoJo's and with Odin, I have to say, you just hyped it enough. Like, it was a good level of hyping.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Man, honestly, like, so this is great. Like, I was reading that flashback, and I was like, this is the best shit I've read so far in One Piece. And I'll be honest with you, up to this point in Wano, it wasn't that good for me. It was still good, but not like top arcs, because it's just stuff happening in this land we've just come into. It's not a personal matter, as I mentioned last time, to any of our main characters. But then with this chapter, with Odin, knowing how it all fits in together, all this timelines, and Whitebeard and Roger, and, you know, we've learned what happened at Skypiea with that poneglyph. We learned about when Roger went down to Fishman Island. We learned about these prophecies, bro. Like, there's so much greatness.
Yeah, I really put a lot of chapters on you this week, and not even this quantity of chapters, just like density of the chapters.
Yeah, that's what the only thing I'm concerned about is that we're not going to even get to talk about all the stuff because, you know, one podcast episode is not enough. But, you know, we'll do our best.
Well, good thing you took notes, Animac, and I just really wanted us to catch up for chapter 1000. That was just like a priority for me. I think it'll be great because the entire community is going to explode in excitement, or even just being upset with like it falling flat if it does fall flat, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of anticipation, there's a lot of pressure, and that's definitely stressful. And I feel for Oda and everyone who works on One Piece because, you know, how can you meet such massive expectations after 20 years, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Let's just start. Let's get into it. First, we have the whole post-Reverie development stuff before we get back into Wano. We have Sabo rumored to be dead again, apparently.
Dude, but it's not just like rumored. You have everyone reading the newspaper and having a different reaction. Like, you have different. So it starts off with Morgan's, you know, the news guy just clobbering some dude, right?
Yes.
And then you have all like the royals are like, wait a second. Sabo, the reverie guy, not the reverie, the revolutionary guys are crying. The noble guy is like, my brother Sabo was here. Everyone's crying. Doflamingo's laughing. Blackbeard's saying, okay, it's time to go to war. Let's grab him first, you know? Like everyone, the world has shaken.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even buy it again because we thought Sabo was dead the first time, and I don't buy that he is. Not until I see his body, which is what I said the first time.
He's not gonna die off screen. There's no way.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Also, Makino officially a MILF now.
Let's go.
I thought that was a very interesting development.
I'm glad you have your priorities straight. Anyway.
Yeah, she was shown also upset over the Sabo thing, and she has a kid now, so good for her.
We also got Boa Hancock in this chapter. I mean, there's a reason why we got it. So
I mean, yes, but we also had information being sent to the Marines in this chapter by X-Drake, the top secret special forces guy.
Nux, don't scream, bro, because your mic is a disaster, please.
Too bad. I'm excited. Shut up.
Okay, well, if you do it, then I'm not going to post a podcast because I have to keep editing out the stuff you're doing.
You don't need to edit it out. Just for the time being, we've got to apologize to our Spotify listeners just for a week or two until Nux gets his mic back or his new mic. Just do it, bro. Just get it. You can't use this one. His other mic broke.
All right. I'm working on it.
Okay. So we had one other thing I want to mention is that yes, Dofi is confirmed to be still alive for now. He's at Impel Down. That is something that we were wondering about, like what happened to him after he was taken prisoner. Like we knew he would eventually end up in Impel Down.
I mean, we've seen him before.
Yeah, but we didn't know if he would be like executed at some point. But he's still alive as of this point.
True.
Yes, Drake. I don't know if this was ever shown before, but he is a secret Navy agent, and he's a member. He's a member of our secret agency known as Sword, along with Kobe. Definitely top 50 best characters in One Piece. Kobe.
I would not say so. I think there are 50 characters in One Piece I like more than Kobe.
Probably, yeah. But yes, so basically Drake is pretending to work for Kaido, but he's actually informing Kobe about the events in Wano. And we also had the big news that the warlord system has finally been abolished. And all the warlords are to be arrested by the Navy, including Boa. And Boa is looking damn good, my dudes.
That's true.
Let's not gloss over the fact that Boa Hancock was in this chapter, guys. Let's go.
Boa!
So yeah, they dissolved the warlord system, which Fujitora and other people in the Navy have been trying to do since literally back at it was back in Alabasta when Crocodile betrayed. Since then, there's been uncertainty with at the end of the day, these guys are pirates, right? And it's so cool how I want to see it happen because you got people like Buggy who clearly isn't that strong, but he has a lot of influence, a lot of people under him. You got Mihawk, the strongest swordsman in the world. Who are they going to send to take this man out, you know? How? How are you going to do that?
But even more than taking them out, I like how you have this chapter that evolves the political state of the One Piece world. And it has nothing to do with Luffy directly. It indirectly does that he stopped Crocodile and Doflamingo and showed the government. He spread the asshole of the warlord system open for them to, properly fist. Yeah, that's right. This is the metaphor I'm going with. But anyway, the abolishment of this system is a massive political turn of events that's changing the entire world. You have pirates and villagers around the world cheering that these head honchos that had this protection from the government can finally be taken. And you also had a different reaction from each of the warlords. You had Buggy freaking out. You had Mihawk excited. He's like, wow, it's been so long since I've been chased. And Weevil's like, okay, time to kill everyone. And Boa, the queen, I would say the S word if we weren't on Twitch right now.
Bro, I shrimp so hard, man.
We do. It's a fact. She says, "Do not fret. It seems they had forgotten the reason we became warlords is because we are strong."
Yo,
Yeah.
any memed in chat that said Corazon was part of Sword. Oh my god, I didn't know that.
God! I didn't remember that.
Yo, Nox, you gotta move a little bit away from your mic. You get too excited and it just cracks.
I didn't remember that. That's sick.
Yeah, so Corazon was informing Sengoku, right?
Yes, yes.
And that was the same organization then? Sword is the same thing?
I didn't remember that, but that's what they're saying in chat.
That's what someone said in chat. Now people are saying not confirmed. So don't hold me on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's the same idea for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's he's like a secret agent completely infiltrated within an enemy kind of stronghold, pretending to be a totally different person, you know, playing a role, all that type of stuff. So, I mean, it makes sense. And it was definitely interesting.
But hey, that's just a theory.
Because I thought that Drake being just like a Kaido lackey was pretty lame, actually, from, you know, for a supernova.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he's actually doing something more, I liked that development.
Yeah, I also like that I predicted it in my theory. That made me happy.
Always feels good.
So the thing is, though, I realize that the world government wants to abolish the warlord system, but I don't know why they're going after the warlords now, because they know they just learned that Kaido and Big Mom have teamed up. So it's like, do you really want to open another front?
No, it's from what I don't believe that to be the case. Like, they abolished the warlord system, and then they got the call that they teamed up. And I believe Sakazuki was saying, "Bro, you picked a bad time to abolish the warlord system."
In those exact words, bro.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. So that's crazy. And I look forward to seeing Mihawk in action. Like, we've never seen him actually, like, crushing ass, because back when we saw him, he was too strong.
He's crushed a good deal of ass in the Baratie arc.
Yeah, but, like, he was so strong that it was just over so quickly, right? I'd like to see him, like, fight someone more his own.
But also, we know that him,
like Kobe.
Like Shanks and Mihawk, like, weren't they, like, didn't they, like, have 50 wins each or something like that, or a certain amount of draws? Like, they were pretty even in sword skill.
I don't think it ever mentioned that they had draws. It is mentioned that they clashed.
I don't remember the exact amount, but it was pretty much insinuating that they were so close in skill. And then when Shanks lost his arm, Mihawk didn't even see a point in actually fighting him anymore. And, like, I don't know if it was... Yeah, lots of draws, someone said.
Yeah, and people are saying that the cover photo of chapter 592 has Akainu with the sword tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so another genius move, having tattoos of a secret organization.
You love to see it.
Hell yes.
I know, just like the Kozuki thing. Anyways, or in Attack on Titan when they did the LD and Restoration instead of it. Anyway, so we had the Rocks Pirates. They were talked about. There were a legendary crew that had a young Big Mom, Kaido, and Whitebeard on the same crew.
Yo, how sick is that?
That's insane. That's insane. And then their captain, Rocks, is considered to be like a total mad lad. He was Roger's greatest foe. His full name is Rocks D. Zebek. So
which is huge.
He's another D. And I believe that Weevil's mom was on that ship, on Rocks' ship, bro.
Okay, possible.
And Rocks was defeated by Roger and Garp 38 years ago in a place called God Valley. But everything that happened there was, like, kept secret. And then Rocks...
A few interesting things about Rocks being introduced is we've heard the name Zebek before in One Piece. Do you remember?
I remember Rocks being referenced, but
do you remember Zebek?
Yo, we talked about this recently.
Yup, we did.
I don't remember.
We didn't specify. Blackbeard's ship is called the Sabre of Zebek.
Oh.
And Blackbeard's name also has a D.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so Blackbeard is very interesting because he gets brought up again in the flashback. We see when he first joins the Whitebeard Pirates, and when he joins, he's like this orphan dude, and he apparently never sleeps. He's like kind of weirds people out. But I wonder, you know, what is his connection to rocks? Because yeah, like you're right, there must be some connection there. Like, why would he decide to turn on Whitebeard the way he did? There has to be some reason.
And didn't they both live in the pirate Beehive Island? Didn't they mention that?
Yeah, so I think now the headquarters of Blackbeard is that island, right?
I think Rocks was there too.
Yeah, it's possible. Like I do remember it being relevant for both like the old crew and the current Blackbeard stuff. So yeah, Blackbeard, there's a connection to Rocks there for sure, that either he hates Whitebeard for not, I guess, turning against Rocks or something like that. But yeah, I'm curious to find out, because we know Blackbeard was apparently an orphan. So was he orphaned as a result of Rocks losing or something like that? I wonder.
Yeah, in the panel where they're talking about Rocks and you see his like shadow in the background, he kind of looks like Blackbeard, or like slightly, like not exactly the same, but
not really.
He's got like the crazy black hair, kind of looks like, in the similar face shape. So maybe he's a descendant. I don't know.
Honestly, I thought he kind of looked like Dragon from that silhouette.
I guess he kind of does as well.
Yeah, I see that. But I mean, we got some more interesting information when it came to Rocks. Like, before they mentioned that he fought Roger, they're like, how did we ever defeat Rocks? Rocks is this dude with three of the, well, at that point they weren't emperors, but three of the current emperors were his boys. How was he defeated? And he's like, he was defeated by the hero of the Marines, Garp. What?
That blows my mind, dude. How?
And then it's like, and the reason why this was made such a secret by the Marines, it's because it's true. We wanted to praise Garp and stuff, but Garp had to team up with Roger.
Oh, that's right. Oh my god.
It's such a wacky chapter. Oh my god.
And that's why Garp and Roger always had that relationship, and Garp like visited him before the execution and all that. That's so cool. God damn it.
It's so crazy. And it was mentioned because, by the way, until this point in One Piece, the overall community was crapping on Garp, saying that this dude, Luffy's grandfather, the father of Dragon, he's supposed to be important. He's just a vice admiral. We never really see him do anything. Blah, blah, blah.
Bruh.
And now it turns out that
he's retired. Like, we didn't get to see him do anything. That's the whole point. Like, we didn't know how strong he was, but we knew he was strong, dude. Like, I don't understand. People actually thought he was weak.
Yeah, and Garp also, there's a reason why he didn't become an admiral. He specifically refused to become an admiral.
He was offered to become an admiral.
Yeah, but he didn't want to serve directly under someone else because he disagrees with a lot of the world government's policies. So that's why he refused to be promoted.
Which is huge. Mad respect.
Yeah, what are they judging his strength off of? Him during the war when he was so like so emotionally invested in the fact that it was Ace?
Dude, they didn't judge his strength off anything. It's just, I remember the One Piece community crapping on Garp for a long time.
How?
Who are these community people? Like, I feel like...
I can tell you people in particular, but I don't know if you want to make enemies.
And people in chat didn't believe us when I said that like people had didn't like Odin's backstory and have been ripping on Wano. I literally got I tweeted out yesterday that One Piece is the greatest long running shonen of all time, and I literally got DMs and replies, people shitting on Wano and the backstory. Just scroll down that tweet if you don't believe me.
No, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. You get it all the time. People roasted Odin. But this chapter that we're currently talking about, the chapter with the reveal of Sabre of Zebek, and then the bounties of all the current emperors, this chapter was potentially one of the greatest top 10 chapters in all of One Piece.
Yeah,
I was waiting for the version to say something.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to grasp everything. Like, so much happened. We also learned bounties, and there was some crazy stuff. So we learned that for some reason Blackbeard's bounty is only like 2.2 billion, which is huge.
This was the highest bounty we've seen until this point, and now you're saying
Yes, but then immediately after, we learned that Shanks is over 4 billion, so almost double. Big Mom is 4.3 billion, and Kaido is 4.6 billion. So that makes me wonder, which is insane, obviously. The discrepancy between that and Luffy, which we thought was big at 1.5 billion, is crazy. But my thinking is, why is... Hold on.
You didn't finish the bounties.
I'm talking about it still. My thinking is why Blackbeard is being kind of undervalued by the world government, since he has been such a mess. Like, he's been such a menace.
He's new to it all. Think about the other Yonkos. They've been Yonkos for years, decades. Bro.
True, but he's still such a menace that I would have thought that they would have, like, upped his bounty.
2.2 is a lot, bro.
It is a lot. I was surprised when I saw these bounties because I expected Shanks to be higher than Big Mom and Kaido.
Shanks is lazy, doesn't probably do a lot, but we're gonna get to see him like.
Shanks has some crazy leverage. He could get these private meetings with the world elders. Like this man knows stuff.
Yeah, no, Shanks is definitely a big mystery, but I also feel like Shanks doesn't do like the type of vile things that Kaido and Big Mom do, so it makes sense for them to be bigger. Yeah.
And then you get Edward Newgate and Gold Roger, who have been around much longer, and it makes sense for their bounties to be even higher.
Yeah, Whitebeard's was 5 billion and Roger's was 5.5 billion, which is the biggest we've seen so far. The legendary bounties.
I'd imagine Gold Roger or Goldie Roger's like probably the highest bounty ever, most likely.
I mean, potentially. We don't know Rocks, and we don't know Dragon.
That's true.
Yes.
I feel like it's going to be one of those three is going to have the highest of all time.
And
I think they're going to be pretty similar.
There are 800 years of past that we don't know either.
That's true. That's true.
Joy Boy might have the biggest bounty.
That's fair.
What about I'm Sama?
The way that chapter actually ends is crazy. Sengoku says that there was also this one man that every single person that we were just talking about, they were all fond of a single pirate from Wano, Kozuki Odin. He was on the Pirate King's last voyage, and for some reason, so many powerful individuals are connected to Wano, and it can't be a coincidence.
Yes, so we got like a little preview of Odin in this section of the manga. And like we saw that a lot of the people on Roger's ship were like showing him reverence, like respecting him a lot. And we learned that Odin was under the command of Whitebeard, but then joined up with Roger for his final voyage, which I thought was interesting at the time. But then when we actually got to the flashback, I was like, bro, this is freaking amazing.
Yes. Oh my God. We have to get to the flashback already.
Yeah. Well, first we have like, so the present time Wano stuff. So we have on the night of the Fire Festival, no one is at the port where the Kozuki boys were supposed to meet because someone attacked the port and the spy basically revealed the plan yet again. The spy yet again, like, guys, fucking get it together, like figure it out. Anyway, then we get the flashback. We see that Kozuki Odin was an absolute natural born Chad. Bro, when I saw that Harem Wars thing, I laughed my ass off. Like, this man was such a Chad that women just ran to him to try to, like, become his wife. Like, other people's wives, daughters, all these women, to the point where he, even though he didn't do anything wrong, it wasn't his fault, he would be, like, entangled in these harem wars where, like, the husbands and the fathers wanted to get their wives back and daughters back, and then they would, like, have to fight him. And it was, like, a whole mess. Like, so he was this, like, bad boy, son of the shogun. He kind of just did his own thing, made crazy things. He didn't really follow the rules, and as a result, he was disowned by his father. So he went to the most lawless region of Wano, and there he picked up a bunch of strong, like, criminals and thugs and stuff, and created his own little kingdom. Eventually, he became the daimyo of that kingdom, and he was re-owned, or I guess not undisowned by his father, and he became again the next in line as the next shogun after kind of like cleaning up that criminal region of Kuro and making it into like a decent, normal place again.
Wow, yeah, also, that was a nice little summary you did there.
I'm sorry, Briggs?
I'm just saying that was a nice little summary you did there. There's one thing I want to mention, but go ahead, Nux.
I was going to say that every time this man started walking, he walked like Dio. Like, he does Dio walk in every single panel he's in. Yeah. Like, the fact that there's this dude that's dying and he heats up his food on the embers of this dead guy and says, the next time we drink together will be in the afterlife. Like, massive mountain god pig boar monster that's the size of freaking Zoe or whatever. Don't quote me on that. Just pops into the village, wrecking everyone. All these epic samurais are getting absolutely slapped. And
Odin cuts him in half, bro.
Odin!
But more than that, he takes like the other pig and takes the blame, and that's why he got kicked out and disowned. Like he was.
Yeah. It was actually.
It wasn't his fault.
It was actually Nox's favorite character in the whole One Piece story, Kinemon, who caused the whole ruckus.
Yes.
But because Odin is such a Chad, he actually took the blame so that Kinemon wouldn't be like executed.
I'm telling you, man, everything about Odin, it just radiates Chad energy from how he fights, how he walks, how he talks, how he gains respect from everyone around him. It's crazy. And then we get to see him lose respect after, but
he gets disowned, and it's like, how pathetic. Everyone looks down on you. He sees he gets disowned, and Dio walks away saying, this is exactly what I wanted.
God damn it, I love Odin.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The way the panels are, it's like, it marks his age and the Chadley thing that he did. By age 18, Odin caused the mountain god incident. You know? And it just keeps going. By the next age, this is what Odin did then. Oh
yeah, I get strong like Kamina vibes from him.
Fair
which
enough.
Is the highest form of compliment that I can give, of course.
Yeah.
So we also go ahead.
Yeah, you were saying?
So we also learned that the Minks on Zou made a pact with the Kozuki clan from Wano hundreds of years ago. So it wasn't just that they made this pact back in Odin's day. It was actually made hundreds of years ago, and it was connected to the poneglyph on Zou. And then later, some of the Minks, including the cat and the dog and the Kappa, end up on Wano and join Odin's forces. But at first, when they brought up the Kozuki clan back on Zou, I was thinking, oh, maybe because of Odin, that's when they met, and that's where the whole bond was formed. But no, actually dates back hundreds of years, which is important.
Yeah, it's huge. Huge. But everything you just said was kind of pushed to the back of my memory because Odin took on a samurai village single-handedly. He goes in there and basically this dude wants to tour, okay? So he's just touring around and there happens to be a massive army that's guarding a city. And the city has a rule that those who enter cannot leave kind of vibe. And he's like, those who enter cannot leave? I hate that rule. So he just goes in and he takes out everyone in such a Chadley way that they all start simping for him. How huge is that? Yeah,
and it's really funny because apparently he really wants to leave Wano because for hundreds of years Wano has been a closed society, like they've been completely closed. And Odin's whole thing is he wants to leave and explore the world, but he can't because he can't ever, he's not a good sailor. He doesn't have a crew. He doesn't have a ship. So he keeps, being stuck on Wano. And that's kind of like one big thing about his life that he never gets to do, even though he's such a Chad, until, of course, something happens.
Edward Newgate.
Before even that something happens, the way the people flock to him, I find brilliant. Odin is a man that is such noble and pure of heart, but also so powerful. He draws people to him. And you could see how he does it. It's inspiring to see him take the actions he takes. So he'll wipe out a group of scumbags, and then he proceeds to, in his own words, become the king of the scumbags. Okay? That is huge. This man has people that will live and die for him that he wouldn't even recognize. He's just inspired them so much they're willing to put their life on the line for him.
Yeah, and it's funny because all the people that end up following him, they don't follow him because he tells them to or orders them or even gives them permission. Like they decide themselves to follow him and they like impose themselves on him until he can't say no. They're like desperate to be with him and join his, I guess it's not crew, but like his samurai boys or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, even the mink guys, like they didn't join him because of the pact, although that helped. They joined him Because he's a Chad.
Yeah. Yeah, and he takes these like criminals and yakuza and like bandits and turns them into like a professional shogunate force that ends up impressing everyone. And he cleans up this criminal region and turns it into like a real like thriving region.
Yeah, and I like that throughout, Odin has interesting character development as well. Because when he comes back as a fine man, where everyone respects him to the point that as they carry him down the street, like in like that fancy, you know, imperial chair thing, yes, all the onlookers just drop to their knees in awe. And he says, "You think that I became a fine man, but I'm not sure that I even changed one bit." And that's so interesting because he didn't change at all. All he did was get people to respect him by them understanding him to a better level.
Yeah, and he throughout the whole thing, he does very reckless things, and you could say that maybe like he does less so the older he gets, and in that sense he develops. But yeah, he does very reckless things, but he's just such a Chad that people can't help but support him and everything that he stands for.
I think he was just able to do the reckless things outside of the capital rather than while he was disowned. So then when he earned everyone's respect and was able to come back. So he was just doing the same thing just elsewhere, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, so what happens then is the Whitebeard pirate crew ends up kind of like shipwrecking on Wano. They weren't there on purpose, they just ended up there. And Odin rushes out to confront Whitebeard, and he actually exchanges blows with him briefly, which to Whitebeard's crew is like, who the fuck is this guy who can even like stand against Whitebeard for a second? But instead of wanting to kill Whitebeard, Odin actually wants to ride on their ship and travel the world.
But it's more than that. Odin walks up to him, clashes blades with him, and just the big smile on his face. He's like, "Hi, my name is Kozuki Odin. We may not know each other, but I want you to let me join your crew." And Whitebeard's like, "What the hell is this guy? I have no idea."
Yeah, exactly. Because on Wano, like technically what Odin should do is, kill any foreigner who tries to enter. Instead, he's like, "Hey, can you take me outside so I can travel with you?" Like completely unbecoming of what a Wano, samurai is supposed to be by convention.
Someone in chat just said Odin wants to ride the Moby Dick.
Let's go.
I'm so immature with that. Maybe I couldn't not bring that up.
Yeah, thanks.
I got you.
Anyway, yeah, so Odin does end up joining Whitebeard's crew after an epic trial where he hangs from the ship for 3 days. And when he's just almost there, like just an hour or so shy of making it, which will allow Whitebeard to accept him into his family, he sees a woman crying out for help. And they've already left Wano at this point. So he ends up, blowing his chance to sail with Whitebeard because he goes and he saves the woman. And it turns out that this woman is actually Toki, his future wife. And she is dressed in the same style as other people from Wano. But she says she's never been to Wano, and her dream is to go there. And she confirms that she was born 800 years ago. 800 years ago.
God damn.
Because we knew from the past that she was born hundreds of years ago, and she used her devil fruit power to travel into the future. But this time it was confirmed that it was 800, which means that she was born during the Void Century.
Bruh.
Yes. And guys, that I just mine for Void Century information wherever I can because I love that stuff so much. So that was really cool and important. And the interesting thing about Toki also is she doesn't know where she was born, only that she was not born in Wano, but that her parents were from Wano. So I'm wondering, were her parents some sort of royals of Wano who ended up in Marijoa with the Celestial Dragons or something along those lines? But then Wano ended up being closed off, so maybe her parents refused the deal with the world government and were killed, but she somehow survived.
I mean, I don't think you could be born in Wano and be a royal from Marijoa.
It's interesting because until now, we don't know that Wano necessarily had any role to play in the Void Century.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first inkling that we got that Wano's been around for a long time.
Yeah, well, actually, the first inkling we got is that the Wano people were the ones who created the poneglyphs. Remember, the Kozuki clan had the
True.
So we learned that on Zoe, I believe. No, but the thing, Briggs, she wasn't born on Wano.
I know, but I mean, her parents couldn't be like celestial dragons, if that's what you meant.
They could.
No.
They could if
Unlikely.
it was. They could if they were. They went to Marijoa when it was world government was being formed in the first place. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's what you're trying to say. When the world government was being formed, that's assuming that the
Yes.
celestial dragons were created when the world government was formed.
Well, we know that from Dressrosa that was the case.
No,
The
celestial
royal
dragons
family-
could have been around before the world government was formed.
Okay,
The
so
world
you're
government
saying
could have
that
been formed around the celestial dragons, and that's why they protect them. I don't know.
But
I don't know, we're just-
didn't we learn that in Dressrosa that Dofi's ancestors were the rulers of Dressrosa who were brought into Marijoa as the celestial dragons?
I thought they were celestial dragons, and then they went to Dressrosa afterwards when they abandoned Marijoa.
Yeah, but weren't they the original royal family of Dressrosa?
I don't know. Chat, let me know. I don't think so. Huh? Wow, I guess
They're
I'm wrong.
saying Mac is right.
Who would have thought they were
Who's
the
the
royal
virgin now,
family?
Briggs?
Yeah, who's the virgin now? God damn. So you're saying that Dofi's parents were the royals of Dressrosa? I thought they were
Yeah.
celestial dragons on Marijoa.
No, so they were royals of Dressrosa who went to Marijoa to become the celestial dragons. And then that is why Dressrosa was being ruled by another family, because the Adofi clan left to go to Marijoa.
Sure.
Sounds good to me. But after Odin comes back from the dead,
Oh, his ancestors. That makes a lot more sense. Sorry, I'm just reading chat.
Yeah. So we're talking
Odin
about the
gets up
ancestors.
after getting healed and is like, with a big smile on his face, of course, blast! I guess I failed to make it on Whitebeard's ship. It's a shame, but at least I'll be able to walk around here. Thank you for saving me. Like, unperturbed, you know?
Yeah,
And then-
so in the chat, I'm What You Fear says the Celestial Dragons were original royal families of 19 nations. Exactly. And what I was saying is that perhaps Wano was supposed to be part of that, and that is Toki's parents, but there was a falling out. They refused to join, and then they were maybe killed, but Toki somehow survived as someone who is a native of Wano. Her parents were native of Wano, but she ended up somewhere around Marijoa.
Dude,
You know,
my
and
mind
then
is blown that I have something being explained to me about One Piece from Animax. This is insane. I guess all those notes have paid off, bro. Hell yeah.
Bro, 2020 is nuts.
Who would have thought?
But yeah, so Nux is right, though. Nux points out that Odin just gave up his dream to save this woman, right? Like, 'cause he wanted to join the Whitebeard crew. He went through all this stuff. And then he sees a woman in need, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to save her. And then he's actually disappointed when he sees her clothes, because he's like, I was leaving Wano. I was trying to find new people. That was kind of funny. But he ends up, because he did something noble, Whitebeard thinks that he deserves to be part of his crew anyway. So he joins, and Toki does as well, because obviously she has nowhere to go. She was being attacked by like bandits and stuff. And eventually the two of them fall in love and have two children, who are, of course, Momo and Hiyori.
Yep. But also, I really like the little montage of their adventures where Odin's just super excited, like he's encased in ice, and he's like, "This is so cool! I've never seen such cold before." And like he's in middle of a desert. "This is so cool! I've never seen such heat before." You know, it's like, I don't know, man. I love Odin so much. And then you got Shanks and Buggy by Roger, where Roger's like, "Ooh, a pirate actually left Wano. I'd love to meet him."
Yeah, and then when they eventually end up, and by the way, while all of this is happening, we saw that Orochi was plotting against the father of Odin, because Orochi is a member of a rival clan that his grandfather, I guess it was, tried to kill a bunch of the other daimyo and take the shogunate position for himself by force. And when that failed, that entire clan was like blacklisted. A bunch of them were executed. They all suffered. And that was the Kuro something clan, the Kurozuki.
Whatever, I don't remember.
Okay, I got it written down. Let me just see. Kurozumi clan. So Orochi's whole thing was he was sitting back, plotting to overthrow the shogun, and because Odin wasn't there, he couldn't really do anything about it. But Orochi, we'll talk about it later, like his whole motivations. But I just wanted to point out that as Odin is, on his travels, Orochi's plotting stuff behind the scenes, and he has help from two people who have devil fruits. One has the clone fruit, and the other one has the barrier fruit. So these must be users prior to the ones we know now, right?
Presumably, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then we get into the whole thing. So Odin is traveling with the Whitebeard pirates. They meet up with the Roger pirates on an island.
Before they meet up with the Roger pirates, though, this is important, and it will become even more important in the future. Odin was given the 2nd division of the Whitebeard pirates. He was Whitebeard's first commander.
Yes, so he was a commander. We did know that. I just didn't know if he was the most important.
And no, it's cool that it's the 2nd division because that's the division that Ace was commander of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't pick up on that. I just saw that it was a commander.
Really cool. It's not like super important right now, but it's cool.
It's important, and you'll see why later.
Very subtle, Nux.
Yes. Epic foreshadow. Yeah. It's not so important. It's just a cool piece of information, and I love these.
All right, next.
Yeah. So
anyway,
on that
as
island,
you were saying, he meets Roger.
Yeah, so he meets with Roger, and they're obviously rivals. Whitebeard and Roger are big rival pirates. At first, they have like a 3-day and 3-night battle royale, but after that, they decide to just kind of like break bread and exchange gifts. These guys need something that these guys have, and they exchange gifts and all that type of stuff. And once they get to talking, they realize, or Roger realizes, that Odin can read and write the language of the poneglyphs because it is a secret art passed on through the Kozuki family for generations. Yep. So once the pirates come together, Roger begs Whitebeard to allow Odin to come with him on his final voyage, because at this point Roger is open about the fact that he's going to die soon, and he asks Odin to come with him so that they can find the 4 red poneglyphs, translate them so that they can go to the final island, as they call it, which is what Roger believes that there's a great treasure on this final island, and he believes that once he gets to this final island, he will be able to be the first to circumnavigate the entire globe, become the king of the oceans and the king of the pirates.
Which is huge.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
also, while all that conversation is happening, you have Shanks talking to Buggy about how there's something about Teach that's spooking him.
Dude, that's the part I was rereading right now while Animac was going on that. I was looking at it. It's so cool. They say he's never slept in his life. Like, oh
They've
my
never
God.
slept in his life, and he's a monster. Which is interesting, because Shanks has been worried about Teach literally his entire life.
Yep.
Since he's a kid here worried about Teach, he met Whitebeard, by the Ennis Lobby arc. He met up with Whitebeard to tell him to watch out for Teach. Like, he came to end the war in Marineford. He went to talk to the elders by the Reverie, presumably about Teach. Like, this dude has had an eye on Blackbeard literally since day one.
Yeah, and I mean, clearly there's something about Blackbeard for Shanks to, get that feeling so quickly, like right after they first met, and because Blackbeard was taken on Whitebeard's ship as an orphan, so he was still a kid at this point. And then as soon as the Rogers pirates kind of meet with the Whitebeard pirates, Shanks is like, yo, this guy, I don't like this guy. There's something off about him.
Yeah. And also, I think that what's so cool, we always wanted to know, like, the relationship between Whitebeard and Roger, and kind of how Roger was in his lifetime, like his persona and his temperament and everything. And we're seeing it through the eyes of Odin. This dude from... I can't get over how great it is. We're seeing it through Odin's eyes, where Roger says, I want to get to this final island, and then I'll be... And he stops, and he probably says Pirate King. It doesn't say exactly what he says. And then you see Odin. I was so stunned that I couldn't move. He's left me speechless for the second time. Who is this guy?
And you got this,
if that's
this
not
Chad
hyping
Odin
Roger,
saying that.
I don't know what could.
Wow.
And then he says, and the reason why, like, basically we're having this conversation now, Whitebeard let me borrow Odin for 1 year. And Whitebeard says, how dare you think I'd let you take a member of my family? It's like, what? This conversation.
Yeah, and we keep getting back to the thing that Whitebeard considers his crew his family, and that is why once he accepted Blackbeard into his crew, he couldn't, he couldn't suspect him of any wrongdoing because he was a member of his family.
Yeah, I actually, when I read this at first, we knew that Roger was gonna end up getting what's his name, Odin, for the final voyage. I thought they were gonna have a Davy back fight.
Wow. Because it was said that they've done a Davy back fight before. That's cool.
So I thought that would have been hilarious.
Yeah, but I mean, this was cool too, and I loved seeing. So once Odin joins the the Roger pirates, then all the stuff that we've been looking at for hundreds of chapters starts coming together. They go to Skypiea, and we have the poneglyph moment where it's actually Odin who carves the message that Roger wanted carved on it. They go to Fishman Island for the poneglyphs there, and actually, so we learned some stuff.
Well, we get first. Let's talk about the fact that that Roger only has about a year to live, right?
Yeah, so he made that clear. Yeah, so he made that clear, and that's why he said this is my final voyage and all that type of stuff. So we learn that the ancient people who wrote the poneglyphs left a great treasure on the final island, or at least that's what Roger believes. And they are also the ones who called Poseidon, the legendary mermaid, a weapon. And both Roger and Odin are confirmed to hear the voices of the animals, just like Luffy. So they can hear voices of like the Neptunians, which was very interesting because we know that Shirahoshi can as well, right? She can control them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well, Shirahoshi, I think her level of control is like even on a higher level.
Yes.
Yeah, because Luffy and the other guys, they can understand them and talk to them, but Shirahoshi is almost like a goddess to them or something.
Yeah, she's the mermaid princess that they've been waiting to be born. Like Charlie even does a prophecy in this chapter saying like that, like the Neptunians are restless and they're waiting for their mermaid princess to be born. You know?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And they also went to the chat. Reminded me that they also went to Water 7.
Yeah, I was about to say they were chilling with Tom. It's like, yo, how's the sea train coming along?
Yeah, and we also see a young Frankie meet Odin and Roger, but I don't know if he even remembers that because did he mention that ever?
I don't think he ever mentioned it. No.
No, I don't think he ever mentioned it.
That's crazy.
So maybe he was too young to remember. Yeah. Yeah. So let me just see. In the end, what ends up happening is Odin and Roger and the others arrive on the final island after they deciphered all the poneglyphs, and they find out about the Void Century, about the people of the D, and about the ancient weapons. And they also found out that Wano wasn't closed off to the world in the past, and it is implied that the treasure that they found on the final island is a story left by Joy Boy, a tale full of laughs, and that's why they called the island Laugh Tale.
Roger just laughed.
That massive panel of Roger just laughing with the words "he laughed," you know.
Oh, Joy Boy! I wish I'd been born in your time.
No one arrived to this island in 800 years. Laugh Tale.
Yeah, and also it was confirmed that Shanks never went there because Buggy fell ill, and then Shanks stayed behind to take care of him.
Yes.
So didn't he actually end up making it canon? So you know the disease that Usopp made up? Oh, I can't go to that island or I'll die disease. Didn't Buggy end up getting that?
Yes. Yeah, that's what it says. It's like, apparently it's called the you'll die if you go to that island disease.
And like Usopp literally made that up. Like, what the hell, Oda? Why? Why do you do this to me?
I will say though that there was a guy who kind of looked like Usopp in Roger's crew.
Dum, dum, dum. Yeah, it's Yasopp's great-grandfather, bro.
Like he didn't have the nose, but like the facial features were kind of similar. Anyway, he was like a background guy, so I don't know if that was supposed to be something or not. But you know, so I don't know. Does this confirm that the One Piece is information? Because it seems to be implied that the One Piece is a story left by Joy Boy.
Well, it doesn't say what the One Piece is. In fact, I don't think the words One Piece are even mentioned.
Well, yeah, treasure. It's referred to as a treasure.
Yes.
And it was called by others One Piece. Like after Roger becomes the legend that he is, you know, he circumnavigates the globe and becomes the Pirate King and is eventually executed, and the Golden Age of Pirates and all that. They call it the One Piece. But yeah, I'm wondering if the treasure is revealed to be here information, because they said that it's a tale full of laughs.
Dum dum dum. One Piece is great. There's a lot to think about, and there's a lot here. And when this chapter ended with Odin saying that, you know what Goldie Roger, the king of pirates, did when he saw the treasure in front of his eyes? He laughed. I love that panel so much. That's such a great. And
the chat is right to point out that it ended up being that Roger and them were too early to fulfill a prophecy. And this prophecy is revealed by that one girl that has the prophecies in
Fishman
Island. Yeah, what was her name again?
Charlie,
yeah. So she says that essentially Princess Shirahoshi, her birth was prophesized 10 years in advance. And this is around the time that Roger was there. And then the birth of another in a distant sea was prophesized as well. Ooh. And the quote is, "The whales are delighted in anticipation of the day that the two sovereigns shall meet again." Again. So I feel that this flashback confirmed reincarnation in One Piece. Because obviously the legendary mermaid princess is born once every several hundred years. And this says the two sovereigns shall meet again. As
By the way, guys, I always assume that it's confirmed that the mermaid princess is the ancient weapon, correct?
Yes, Poseidon.
Yes, okay. Poseidon. Just wanted to make sure.
So yeah,
I think
because that's where a lot of theories are derived
I do hear
from
what you're saying.
This.
I hear what you're saying, Animac. I don't know if it's necessarily reincarnation. Just the fact that the two kings, it may be like whoever becomes the king of a certain. Like, I'm not saying it's not fated or it's not destiny for these two kings to come to be, but I don't know if it's necessarily reincarnation.
Well, we'll see, because there's some other evidence for reincarnation that I'll talk about in a bit. But who is the other sovereign? Is it Luffy, the future Pirate King?
Perhaps.
It could be. He's lining up much better with Shirahoshi than Roger did, which is something that we know is needed.
I like that they say that, you know, the someone will surpass me in the future. Roger says, like, Wiley laughs.
All right, Animac, what do you think the One Piece is?
Let's finish talking about this, because there's a lot, but because I don't want to. I've been thinking about what the One Piece is like all day, so I can't just be put on the spot with that. But
joke's on you, it's Cracker.
The whole Luffy thing is very interesting though, because he has the D, he has the communicating with the animals. He met Shirahoshi and they have a good connection, so that was very, very interesting to me. And then we learned that when Roger disbanded his pirates and left because he was dying, not a tear was shed. You know, so that was special, because I would have expected a few tears, but not a tear was shed. So,
yep,
there you go. And Odin says something else interesting. He says that Wano's borders were closed for a purpose, but now they must be opened again before Joy Boy returns, brah.
Oh.
That is the other reincarnation thing that really struck me. He said Joy Boy returns, and we know Joy Boy is this dude from an ancient time that left the poneglyphs, or at least one poneglyph.
Yep. And then Odin hears some interesting information. People are starting to take orders from Orochi because he has the support of a certain pirate named, I forget the name.
Kaido.
Kaido.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that then Odin, after this journey and after the pirates are disbanded because Roger leaves, Odin returns to Wano, and he decides, okay, I got to take out Orochi because he learns that his father died. Orochi basically usurped the throne, claiming that he was, had to be the interim shogun, but then he was doing horrible things, partnering with an evil pirate and mistreating the people, building all these factories for weapons. So Odin goes to confront him, and someone immediately reports Odin's plan to Kaido and Orochi.
Yep.
Yep.
I wonder who it is.
Yes. And then Odin is stopped from killing Orochi by 2 fellow members of Orochi's old clan, which was disgraced. And the one has the barrier fruit, which the current user of that is
Bartolomeo.
Our boy Bartolomeo, yeah. And the other one has the clone fruit, which is some old woman who is somehow, and she and then somehow these guys force Odin, instead of killing Orochi, to basically humiliate himself day after day by going out and dancing naked with just a loincloth in public, so that he becomes a laughingstock instead of this revered shogun who was going to help save Wano.
And how did you feel about that, Adamak?
Yeah, at first I was like, what is going on? Because I was thinking, okay, so is this really him, or is it the person with the clone fruit pretending to be him to make him look bad so that the people don't support him over Orochi? But it turns out that it is him, but he was compelled to do what he was doing by a very specific reason, which we find out later what it was. So,
honestly, I think humiliation is one of the most powerful forms of torture. And the fact that Odin was willing, and he had the wherewithal to go ahead and do this.
It takes a real Chad
about himself compared to the people that he was protecting. Like, I have so much respect for this guy. The selflessness of this man. He didn't care about one of the things that a human being cares about most, and that is how they're perceived by people around them. And Odin was happy to throw that out to save his people.
Yeah, so what he did was, because Orochi and Kaido threatened that they would start killing people or like torturing them and selling them as slaves unless he does this whole dance thing. For 5 years, he did the dancing, the humiliation, and every time he danced, he saved 100 people of Wano. And these 5 years that he was doing this gave Kaido and Orochi a chance to get stronger, so that eventually when they clashed, Odin wouldn't be able to win. But yeah, it's definitely interesting because we learned that Orochi, because he is a member of a rival clan that was disgraced before, he does not care about any of the people of Wano. He thinks that they are all responsible for what happened to his family, and he's completely fine with having them all suffer as revenge. So he is willing to kill, no matter how many innocent people, if that meets his goals. And that is why Odin realizes that if I'm going to save these people, I have to unfortunately do what this guy says, because they promised him that if Odin lets them do this for 5 years, they're going to make all their weapons and make their money and leave Wano to Odin. But when they break that promise, Odin then says enough is enough, and he tries to summon his forces and take Kaido and Orochi out.
And I think that is a legendary battle. You know how we always know that Kaido is this man that has never been hurt before. He's fallen from Sky Islands. He's been impaled. He's been, like, they tried to kill him and decapitate him and everything. And he always had a scar. He always had this scar. It was said that the legendary sword Enma is what caused it. And in this battle, Odin overpowers Kaido.
It's crazy.
He's stronger than Kaido. He lost the fight because his son was taken captive.
Mm-hmm. Because he's too good of a person and he has a heart. That's why he lost the fight, not because he was weak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, so Momo was used as a hostage as well. That's another thing that I forgot to mention.
Yes. And if Momo wouldn't have been used as a hostage, our boy Odin would have been victorious. He was actually winning the fight against Kaido. This is Kaido. They revere him as the strongest man alive. I'm just saying. And here we got...
Strongest creature, I think, but...
Strongest creature, whatever. And here you have Odin, who completely defeated him. If not for...
Yeah. And the thing with Odin, he is an incredible Chad, but he's basically a Game of Thrones character, right? Because he is a good person and he's not, which word am I going to use, guys?
Machiavellian.
Machiavellian, exactly. Because of that, he ends up getting killed, and he also ends up, doing several things that, in hindsight, you realize that he trusted Orochi too much. He trusted the spy too much. He didn't suspect anyone, and he also, he trusted that Kaido would keep his word. All these things that, in hindsight, ended up being bad decisions, but because Odin is so noble, he expected others to be as well.
But those 5 years of humiliation were worth it for the chance that there wouldn't be bloodshed, and things would return back to normal. And the second it was taken away, which it was very likely to happen, he's like, all right, it's time to fight. And he didn't care about the humiliation because he's that much of a Chad. And also, I just want to note that Momo in that fight was just the old hag with the clone fruit.
Oh yeah, but it was another trick. Yeah,
exactly.
Oh yeah, that damn clone fruit was so useful because Orochi kept using it as a way to give legitimacy to himself. So he had her pose as both the Shogun and Odin, saying that they love Orochi, that Orochi should be the interim leader, all this type of stuff. It was very, dare I say it, Machiavellian.
I don't even want to hear that word in the same sentence as Orochi. Okay. I'm sorry. You could call Doflamingo Machiavellian if you want, but I don't believe that Orochi even deserves such a title. That snake.
Orochi deserves nothing.
Slimy little bastard.
Honestly, their use of the clone fruit in particular was extremely Machiavellian. It was brilliant in terms of political strategy. If you have no moral principles and you just want power. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was a mix of the clone fruit and, Kaido that actually helped him out a little bit.
Yes.
But I think that as far as One Piece goes, it's not the fights that matter. It's the moments. Like I've said this before. And when this chapter, the one that we're about to be talking about, chapter 971, Condemned to Boil, when this chapter came out, this, in my mind, is the best moment in One Piece since the Nothing Happened Zoro moment.
Bruh.
Yeah, it was amazing, absolutely.
I like it more than Nothing Happened.
You like it more than Nothing Happened?
Yeah.
Damn, I respect that. But for me, this scene is actually so good. Kozuki Odin and his 9 retainers are going to be boiled, where if someone is boiled in oil, they die in an instant. Like, you see them.
Yes.
And he says, we'll enter this pot, and you have to free anyone that survives. And he's like, okay. If you
for an hour. Yeah, for an hour, yeah.
Hour! And Odin stands in the oil, carrying his 9 subordinates above his head.
That one image is...
I assume he's using armament hockey, right?
Maybe.
He could be attempting to, but I doubt he could hold it for that long,
He's holding 9 people, and they're all willing, because if the second they go in the oil, they're dead, right? So here we have Odin holding his 9 men above him. All of them are in intense suffering that their man they love more than anyone else is in such extreme torment as he carries all of them.
Literally being boiled alive while carrying the 9 people on like that wooden plank, having to balance them, and like, oh my god, it's just such an emotional scene.
And it's so fascinating because Kaido is known, when he finds someone strong, he doesn't kill them. He always leaves them alive because he knows that it's a matter of time until they start working for him. He knows that will never happen with Odin, ever. So Odin is the only
Odin's stronger than Kaido. Everyone that he does that to is weaker than Kaido.
Odin is the only man that Kaido executes in all of One Piece, I think.
Nux, move the mic away, man.
Sorry. But anyway, so as he's there in the oil, and then people around the country start spreading the knowledge that he's not the fool lord. He's not the Lord Fool. He's the one that since he arrived here and still at this very moment, standing in this pot of oil, he is protecting this country.
For all these years, Lord Odin has been protecting this land. So tell me again, who are you calling a fool of a lord?
Yeah, and then all the people are like, yeah, we love you, Odin, and then Kaido's like, kill them all. So yeah, you know what? Odin was not a fool, but he was not a genius either. Let's be real.
No one's claiming him to be a genius. He's a noble, pure of heart, Chad.
Yes, exactly. He's a Ned Stark, but Chadlier.
He's what I strive to be, man.
But he's that type of character where he's just noble, too noble for his own good. Too trusting, too honorable. Unfortunately, because I didn't. Because what ends up happening is
he's not a total. After surviving the full hour, he tosses his 9 scabbards away because he knows they're still going to kill him. He knew going into that pot that even if he survived the hour, he would die. He just did it to keep his 9 guys alive, and so that the entire country is rallied behind them. And then you get each of the 9 scabbards as they're running away, pitifully running away. They're all crying, and you see flashbacks of why they respect Odin. And as Odin stands in the pot of boiling oil, knowing he's about to be executed, he makes that pose. You know, the Shogun pose with like the one hand in front and one hand in back? Mm-hmm. And he says, my name is oil. My name is Odin. The more it's boiled, the better it gets.
In the Viz translation, it just says, I am Odin, and I was born to boil.
Yes, that's the true translate. There are 2 translations. Yes, the more it's boiled, the better it gets, or born to boil. And as he dies, you see the reflection of Joy Boy in the oil.
Was that the reflection of Joy Boy, or was that his own smile?
I thought that was Joy Boy.
It gives Joy Boy vibes for sure.
I thought it was his own smile because, like the D's, he dies smiling.
So
that's true.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of my favorite themes in Wano in particular, and with Kaido as a villain, is every villain in One Piece kind of has a different twist to them. And Kaido's big twist is that he wants to choose his death to be in an impactful way. Because all the people he revered throughout his lifetime and looked up to, they've all had a death that changed the world. Whether it was Roger, whether it was Whitebeard, they both had a death that affected the greater world. And here, Odin, who's his counterpart, died in a way that changed all of Wano, that's for sure. And the one thing that Kaido is continuously trying to accomplish, but keeps failing again and again, is having a meaningful death. This man cannot die. I think that is part of Kaido's greater theme in One Piece.
Yeah, and the thing is, Odin predicted before he died, he predicted that Kaido's death is coming, because he said that, let me just find my notes, that in 20 years' time, new characters will appear on the scene, and a great war will arrive, and that will be the time to take down Kaido. And these new characters, of course, are the supernovas, in my interpretation of this prophecy.
Well, or the Straw Hats.
Straw Hats.
Well, Straw Hats, they're being part of the supernova.
My question, though, who was it that chose 20 years? Was it Odin that chose 20 years?
No, wasn't it Roger or something?
I thought it was Odin.
I'm just wondering, because like obviously they sent the scabbards to the future 20 years. I'm just wondering who chose 20 years.
Okay, remember, so this is where the 20 years comes from. Remember the prophecy on Fishman Island? It was 10 years.
It's prophecy, but I think Odin.
Hold on. 10 years until the birth of Shirahoshi. 15 years until she reaches maturity. 25 years. Since that moment, from that moment that they visited Fishman Island to Odin's death, is another 5 years. So 20 years comes from that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So Odin must have told Toki to do that, to send them 20 years, because that's when the other, when everything would be going down and the world would change, you know?
Yeah, and Odin left her a note saying 20 years to Toki. But so what ended up happening to Toki? Because she sent some of the guys and Momo into the future, 20 years, but not Hiyori and not some of the other scabbards. But what happened to her? Did she die? Did we see what happened to her?
I think it's still not answered. We don't know.
Okay, because I didn't know if it was confirmed. Because the thing is, she obviously didn't meet up with those guys. But why not if her power allows her to travel as well? We know for a fact that she can travel. It's not just sending other people. So why wouldn't she meet up with her son and the others in the future?
I think it wasn't explained. I don't think it. We don't know yet.
Well, Chad is saying that she died.
No, I don't
Well,
think
we don't know. She was shot,
she
but
died?
She was
It
shot.
was said that she died, right?
yeah.
So we saw her injured, that's for sure, but we didn't see her die. So I think it could come up again.
All right, everyone's saying she died. All right, maybe. But I like the scene of Kaido holding Momonosuke like over the palace, like threatening to throw him off the cliff. And he says to Momonosuke, "Say that your father is an idiot lord." And he's like, "No, my father's a great warrior, and I will one day rule this country." And I really like that scene because here you have Kaido holding him over the edge of a cliff. And the first time we meet Momonosuke, he says, "I'm scared of heights," from something that happened in his past.
Oh.
Yeah.
God damn, that's good. Goda back at it again.
Yeah.
No, it all fits. Like everything is fitting so perfectly now with the flashback and everything, and that's what I love. Like I said before this, the present stuff in Wano wasn't that interesting to me because I was like, what are the stakes for our main characters? You know, obviously it's important for Momo, but who's Momo to us? This guy we recently met, he's a kid. But now with this flashback and how it all fits to the Void Century and to Roger and to Whitebeard and, you know, everything, Wano is so important to everything. Now I'm super invested. So I definitely think this is great at this point.
Yeah, man.
Well, and yeah, in terms of the mother, Toki, no body, no confirmation. That's how I go with One Piece. Unless you see the body and there's like,
exactly,
you know, there's like a dramatic scene where the body is there and everyone's like, she's dead. I'm not taking it as fact. But again,
Sounds good to me.
If she didn't go to the future, there must be a reason why. Or if she did go, maybe she had to go at a different time or something. And that's why she couldn't meet up with the guys yet. But maybe she will in the future. We'll see. It's a crazy devil fruit, though, man. That's insane. Time-traveling devil fruit.
And I do like that when the flashback ends, that chapter ends with Kid Law and Luffy saying, "Hey, we're at sea. We deal with the pirates." You know?
Yeah, but before that, we learned who the traitor was.
Yes.
We learned the last scabbard, so it's hard to keep track of everyone, but Denjiro was the other chap, scabbard, the guy with like the sunglasses or whatever, whom we hadn't met yet, or so we thought. But it turns out that he was the actually his secret identity was Kyoshiro. Was that
Kyojiro?
Kyojiro. Yeah, he was the mob boss guy who pretended to work for Orochi, but actually he was protecting Hiyori. And we saw him protect her because Orochi thought that he killed her, but in reality he saved her. We didn't know why at the time, but now we know that he was actually secretly a scabbard, which was cool. I predicted that would happen as soon as we got him saving her, because like, why would he save her and pretend he killed her unless he was one of the scabbards?
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because he was an interesting character in the first act of Wano.
Chad is saying Kyoshiro.
Yeah.
Kyoshiro. So he originally, when they executed that dude, Yasue, I think his name was, when they executed him and Zoro charged Orochi, he was blocked by Kyoshiro.
Mm-hmm.
Did you suspect Kanjuro at all?
And this is the guy that I think, allegedly killed Komurasaki, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. So he's basically been, Denjiro has been infiltrating he's been getting close and cozy with the Shogun, and he's been running the capital, but in reality his other identity was he was the Robin Hood guy as well, right? He was stealing from the rich in the capital and handing out money to the poor. So he was, even in his role, he was still trying to help the everyday people.
Mm-hmm.
And then we learned that the spy was actually Kanjuro, that creepy dude, the creepy clown dude from the Scabbards.
Yeah, we had to know it was one of the Scabbards. It just, I had no idea which one it was.
Yeah, so at that point, after all the betrayals, it was obvious it was one of the Scabbards. And that kind of disappointed me that they didn't figure this out earlier and try to figure it out. But it's like they all trusted each other so much
Yeah.
that they didn't want to consider the possibility.
It was just that you had betrayals 20 years in the past and betrayals 20 years in the future. It's like, huh, it's got to be one of you guys, you know?
Exactly. It has to be someone, because remember Zoe? Zoe, the fact that it was found by Jack was an indication that someone on Zoe was a traitor. But they still didn't connect the dots because they...
No, but it wasn't that guy. It wasn't the guy that they found on Zoe. It wasn't Raizo. It was the guy they met in Dressrosa.
But it was Kanjuro. But he was still on Zoe. So I'm saying someone on Zoe at the time had to have been the traitor who informed Jack.
Wait, hold on. Wait a second.
I don't think
Jack got there before the Straw Hats.
Yeah.
No?
Did he?
Yeah, Jack got there before the Straw Hats. And that was the whole Raizo is here line, right?
But Kanjuro said that the reason they found Zoe without a Viva card was because of him.
Yeah, it must have been that he informed them from off of Zoe. He wasn't on Zoe.
Yeah. He very likely gave them the location, but he wasn't on Zoe at that time.
Anyway, that's regardless. It doesn't matter at this point. Yeah. You know what's a really cool reveal? When you realize the entire time he was drawing bad with his wrong hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was comical. His devil fruit was like drawing that weird little dragon thing and stuff, but in reality he can draw very well, and he can draw clones of himself, which is what ends up happening when he does the big reveal. And the reason he's doing all this is because he was also a member of the Kurozumi clan, the same clan as Orochi that ended up being like disgraced and butchered because they failed to overthrow the shogun. And so his whole life and his lifelong mission was just to play the role of Kanjuro, this, Kozuki loyalist. And in reality, he was working to bring them down the entire time, and he was like fiercely loyal to Orochi. Which, I mean, I get it, but it's a little extreme because, who really wants to be that loyal to Orochi, man?
Yeah, Orochi, like...
Like, imagine dedicating your life to not being loyal to Odin so you could betray him for Orochi.
Yeah, disgusting.
Yeah,
Yo,
honestly. So.
I must say, though, it was so funny. Like, I think it was back at Dressrosa or even before that when Animac made a comment like, yo, you think this guy would know how to draw considering the fact that, like, his devil requires it, and then me and Nux are just awkward silence for like 3 seconds.
No, dude, it was great because then I'm like, dude, I'm sure that if he knew how to draw better, he would. This man is a trustworthy man. I would trust him with my life. I said that in the Dressrosa episode, and Briggs was like, shut up.
Yeah, because what doesn't make sense is, imagine, like, I'm not good at drawing. I'm a bad artist. But if I had that devil fruit, you better believe I would practice every day. Like, come on.
Yeah, you literally made a comment like that, and we're just like, awkward silence, and then Nux is being an idiot. That it was so funny.
I kind of remember, but no, it's definitely interesting. Again, I think we have to understand that the clan connections. So
yes, the clan connections are huge.
Yeah, that is something that in modern society we don't have, but back then in Shogunate era Japan, they absolutely did have strong clan connections, and they would be willing to, even sacrifice their own lives just to bring honor to their clan. So it's not just about, oh, Orochi's a stupid asshole, so I'm not going to support him. It's like, no, this is my duty to, get revenge for my clan or whatever. So in that sense, it would make sense what Kanjuro is doing. And it's funny because the whole thing is that he's an actor and he's been acting this part. And isn't he kind of like, his design is basically a kabuki actor?
Yes, it's just a cute touch.
Yeah. So that was it's like a kind of like a hint that, yeah, this guy's acting the whole time. And then at the very end of this section, we see Luffy, Traffy, and Kid showing up to save the samurai in the nick of time before they are engulfed by the Kaido forces. Because again, their plan was revealed. It was, the Kaido and Orochi are ready with their forces. The samurai don't have their army. And it's like, what are we going to do now? Like, it looks like they're going to get just destroyed. But then Kid, Luffy, and Traffy all show up, 3 supernovas with their men ready to fight. And that's how it ends. And it's absolutely epic.
And when you're at sea,
amazing Sabre Archipelago flashback.
You fight against pirates.
Yes. Yeah. When they fought the Navy, this time they're fighting Kaido.
Right.
I thought that was a pretty good chapter to end on.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. It's just so much, man. We covered so much, and it was so epic. And I definitely now, like, my liking for Wano as an arc has skyrocketed after the flashback and how it all fit together.
Let's go.
Man, I'm so
It does-
excited.
It does suck though, because I feel like if Odin was more of like a, I guess, sly ruler, he would have been so much more successful. But because he was such a honorable and trusting guy, he ended up being screwed over, and I feel bad for that.
Yeah, but those flaws also are what make him such a great character and a great person, you know?
Yeah. So anyway, now that we've finished this this episode of the One Piece Virgin podcast, what are your thoughts on Odin? How much did I overhype him?
Yeah, I have to say, Nux always overhypes things to the point that, it sometimes ruins them. However, for Odin, I have to say he didn't overhype him. He hyped him just the right amount. So you got lucky this time, Nux. You got lucky. Definitely a great character. From the moment that Harem Wars were shown until the very end, he was definitely a great character. We're, super awesome, super Chadley, super manly, and just inspirational in so many ways.
One
So
would even
I
say
like to
that
think
he is super hard-boiled.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Literally.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is, I do still stand by what I've been saying in the past, that the Odin flashback is my favorite flashback in all of One Piece.
I mean, that Odin Roger flashback, yeah, it's the
I
best. It
think
might
it's
be,
my
might be the best part of the whole series.
Oh my god. I think it's the best flashback. There's certain flashbacks that are more emotional, and like everything has its strong suits, but I do think this is
let's
one of the
not
best.
forget the Born to Boil scene. That's pretty emotional, Briggs.
It's very emotional, but it didn't like get to me as much as maybe like Brooks or Nami's emotionally. But it was definitely badass, more badass than it. And I think just having that bit of Void Century and them going to Laugh Tale, like that backstory is insanely good.
Yeah, especially because it's been, for so many chapters, it's been foreshadowed, and we've got these little hints and pieces of the Void Century and Roger and the treasure and the final island. So even though now we still only got a little bit of info, it was so powerful and meaningful because we've been waiting for so long. So I loved it, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And boys, that means next week is chapter 975 up until chapter 999, which means the One Piece version himself is going to be fully caught up, man. Holy crap.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Wild.
And who
In
is
less than a
Joy
year.
Boy? I need to know who Joy Boy is. Like, what is happening?
We are all Joy Boy.
Just a ship. Thank you for the 500 bits and your great name.
Nice. All right, I say we wrap it up, Animec.
Right? Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
man. I am honestly, so much happened this episode, and it's just.
Yo,
it
and
was
by
a
the
lot.
way, if Chapter 1000 comes out somehow before next Tuesday, I say we include it.
Sure, but I'm not doing spoilers or anything like that. Like I want to.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Yeah, we'll see what the chapter is like and stuff like that. Because if there's so much to talk about, we might not want to stuff it all together. We'll see. But yeah, honestly, I'm really looking forward to catching up. And yeah, now it's really on in Wano, bro. Now it's really on. The big battle is happening. We have the flashback. We have so many more missing pieces. And I can't wait to get more, man. I can't wait to get more. All right,
Hell
guys.
yeah.
Thank you for joining me again. Nux, fix your mic. And until next time, see you, Space Cowboys.
Bang.